Okay, so what we're looking at today is how to add spinning cylinders or spinning objects to our game. So the way we do this is we'll add obviously the spinning object, so in this case it's a cylinder, and then we're going to make it rotate. Okay, it's going to rotate on a certain axis. So the way we do that is, let me bring up the script for you and I'll break it down. So in the script, you'll notice new variables, and these variables are floats and balls, but before we've actually declared the variable, we've put in a serialized field. Well, now what this means, if we read the description here, is that these variables are private variables. However, because we've serialized the fields, they become available to us to edit in the inspector. So you'll notice here we've got a float, which is spin speed, a bool, which is spin X, another boolean which is spin Y, and another boolean that's spin Z. If we go into Unity, you can see that these are now accessible in our inspector. Now if I go into here and let's just get rid of the serialized field and hit save. In fact, it's not this one, it's this one, and I get rid of it here. I come back into Unity. Spin Z is now disappeared, so now I can't edit that. Yeah, and I'm not able to edit it anymore because it's no longer accessible in our inspector. It's still a variable in the script, so something can still happen on the Z if we tell it to do something, but we can't define any of its features within the inspector. So we can't tell specifically in the inspector that this needs to rotate on its x-axis or its y or its z because it's no longer accessible. Obviously in this case it's going to be the z-axis. What we're defining in the spin speed is how fast we want it to spin. Okay, so let's come back in here and do what we just did and come back to the example script. So what we're doing is we're defining a private variable that is editable in the inspector. Okay, so it's a good rule of thumb that all your variables should remain private unless specifically you want to access it from another script. Otherwise, rule of thumb, make it private. Okay, now there's different ways to define, as in like make reference to a private variable. Now the way I've been taught is, it's kind of a standard practice, is that if you make a private variable that is serialized, you put an underscore, then camel case. So in this case example, we're going serialized field flow underscore spin speed. Okay. Now if we were to just make a private variable, we can make a new boolean and call it bool is spinning. I'm just using camel case because I don't need to tell the coder or someone else going into my script later on that is a editor on the inspector. By donating the underscore, you're telling the next person who checks over your script that this is a private variable, but it's editable in the inspector. I can still access it from the inspector. If it's just camel cased, then you're going to know it's a private variable. Okay. If you make a public variable, you must put public before the type. So you put public bool is spinning. Otherwise, if you put bool, Unity, C# automatically assume it's private, or you can just put private yourself. But not putting private before it is acceptable too. Let's get rid of that. So what's happening? Okay, so we have a float, which is our spin speed. So how fast is our cube going to rotate? Some booleans, which will indicate which axis we're spinning on. Okay. Then what happens when we start the level? So when the script is loaded and the level is loaded, we run an update. An update function. This update run function runs every single frame. So every frame is checking. And then, if spin X is ticked, you will rotate on the X axis. If spin Y is ticked, you rotate on the Y axis, and if spin Z is ticked, you rotate on the z-axis. And the way you do this, if we look at y for example, we get the transform.rotate of our object, which is this here, so we're on the y-axis. So we get the rotation of this y-axis, and we apply a speed to it. So we're saying rotate at the spin speed. So rotate in this instance at 1.5. Okay, and then you have 0 on the x and 0 on the z, because you're not rotating on the z or x axis. And essentially all it's doing is this, but it's doing at 1.5. So speed of 1.5, that's all it's doing. And then if you were to do it on the z-axis, you just rotate it again like this. So we put it, we hit play, and you can see it in action. It's exactly what we're doing. You can actually see our sensor rotating on its y-axis, and it's rotating at a speed of 1.5. Now I can come into it and I can actually change it to 20 and watch what happens. It goes a bit crazy. Or I can slow it down and put 0.5, and that was slower. Or I could change it to 1, it's a little bit faster. Change it to 3, it's more faster. 5, 10, ridiculous speeds. But that is how you make it rotate. Now, if you change these values whilst you are playing the level, they won't save. So let's just immediately change it to 20 and stop the game. You'll notice that it's gone back to 1.5. So any changes you make to this whilst the game is playing will not save. You must stop it, then make a change. Okay? So what your task is to do is to make an object that you wish to spin. And I'm going to do it with you. So we'll come over here. Let's make this Pro Builder name. Obviously, you guys got Pro Builder already on. I might need to put it on for myself here. So I just need to restore it really quickly. You guys obviously have already used Pro Builder, so it's already going to be available to you. It's just I haven't used it in this particular instance. So I'm just going to install it and add the package to my game. So now Pro Builder is available for me. I'm just going to get a Pro Builder window and just dock this here. Okay, so it's docked up. So what I'm going to do is I will make a new shape that is a cylinder. Just going to drag it out. It's there. And I'm going to rotate it 90 on its z-axis. Actually, put it into position. It's not quite a cylinder. It looks a bit oblong. But you guys will do a better job than me. I'm just literally doing it to demonstrate. And then all I'm going to do is select it. It's already got colliders on there. So all I need to do is grab my spinner script and drop it on. And then let's rotate on its Y. Hit play. So it's Y, or is it on? Oh, we haven't added the speed. Let's up the speed. And there you go. You might have to do it on the X. It's the orientation of this, you see. It's the way I've orientated it. Oh, I can hit that. Oh, it's got a little bit of a weird one. So if I just pop this in the middle and I say, okay, do it on the X. Trying to get that back to 0. I can do it on the Y. Or I can do it on a Z. So all you guys really need to do is make your cylinders, just drop your script onto the cylinder, okay? It's a nice, pretty simple, easy one. And then what we're going to look at in next lesson is adding a timer to your game. So if I pause this, if I stop playing, not pause, and I get rid of that, and I enable my canvas, you will see that I have a clock that's counting down at the top of my screen here. So in the top left corner here, I've got a countdown timer. So our next lesson will focus on how to make that countdown timer and how to display the timer on the screen, but also how to make the timer count. Thank you.